Any notes for the
How was
audience?
the Batman?
It was pretty good. It was pretty banging. It's pretty
Cool.
banging.
I heard
Definitely-
nothing but good things.
It wasn't.
I'm lying. I heard one bad thing.
It wasn't. I wanted it to be better than The Dark Knight. It just couldn't be. It's impossible. Not
Well,
impossible.
you gotta remember, The Dark Knight was also the second movie in the series. So,
Dude, I was thinking that the whole time. Like, if this movie is,
It was?
this was better than.
the first one was Batman Begins.
Oh, I didn't watch that one.
Yeah,
Jesus Lord.
I didn't
But-
watch that one, and I was perfectly fine in Dark Knight.
Batman Begins was great, but this one was better than Batman Begins. So if the sequel is better than this, then there's no way that it's not better than The Dark Knight. I think the only thing that set Dark Knight over the edge was Heath, and I think unless there's a villain to Heath's magnitude, it's going to be very difficult to.
they just gotta do that shit. Nick Cage wants to be.
He wants to be Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, let him be that guy. Let Nick
Or
Cage
no,
do it.
I don't know if he wants to be Mr. Freeze.
It doesn't matter which villain he wants to be. It doesn't even
Just
matter
let
if
him
he
do
wants
it.
to be a fucking someone else's villain in that Batman movie. Let him do it, and it'll fucking be great.
Colin Farrell was great.
He played the Penguin.
Yeah, he was so good.
I heard the one beef I heard, though, I didn't see the movie, but I heard that there was a lot of plots going on. And I heard that the movie could have been like a lot shorter. And there's one specific plot. The person didn't want to give spoilers that like didn't need to be a part of it. And you could have pulled it out and the movie would have been shorter and better.
I think it was because they didn't want it to be another origin story. So the only way to do that in a way where you can reiterate and kind of, give a gist of the origin, they use this as their opportunity. So instead of like showing the parents dying and the whole thing, they kind of just, I didn't mind it. Like Catwoman was a really big part. It wasn't like it was pretty much like a team up movie in a sense.
So can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Are Catwoman and Batgirl different people like Wonder Woman and Supergirl?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think because I know there's a bunch of plots only because I know there's multiple big name villains from the casting list. But I bet that in my mind, I'm betting that's just to set up the future plot lines. It's like a world building device. So maybe this movie drags a little bit because of that, but the next ones are going to have so much more background fleshed out because they did it right now.
That's really what it was. This felt like we're giving you a background of what's to come, because there's going to be so much that we want to give you for 2 and 3 and 4 that we kind of got to give you all this now. Like, I think Catwoman is going to probably be a big part in the other ones. So they kind of had to give her a big part in this one. Maybe she might, I don't know. I like the idea of
Who's Catwoman?
Zoe
Kravitz. Don't ever disrespect her like that.
I would never. I love her.
I like the idea of they built this world and maybe not all of the characters will be in the sequel, and they'll kind of save some of them for 3 and 4 and whatever else. Like I hope it's not. I mean, I don't know. I don't really like. I hope Riddler is in future installments. I don't know if the next one is the one that he should be in. They gave you a huge cameo at the end of the movie, but it's almost like, do we really need another one?
Who is it? Just spoil it.
No, Jake.
It's Margot Robbie.
It's Margot Robbie. She shows up, and
Margot Robbie's in Batman.
Not yet.
You heard it here first. No, they made it very clear that it's not connected to any of that, because they have double characters, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. But also, I think they could, like, based on the understanding of like the setup that I do have, they set up multiple directions that they could go.
Well,
so
also,
there's not like a linear, it doesn't necessarily be like there's a definite event that's happening next. It's like I've read a lot of write-ups to be like, oh, it looks like they set up shit for this like comic book plot line and this comic book plot line, like for like these bigger Batman like
also
plots in the that are like from the comics and shit to bring them to film, which I think is a great idea. I think like that's basically along the lines of what I think forever ago when we were watching the Snyder Cut, we said that they should do was just set up like just the best plot lines that already exist in the books as opposed to like trying to make a goddamn universe.
Right. Well, I mean, they're making a universe, but it's just a Batman universe, which is kind of cool. Which is pretty honestly, this is what they should have done with all of them, because now they're going to have an HBO show with the Penguin, and it's going to be integrated into probably the sequel of this. Like they should have just done, like they're going the Marvel. It's the Marvel route, but it's also like.
But it's more contained.
I was going to say it's more of an expansion, because like this series is not even about Batman. It's about like, I mean, I think there's multiple series. It's Commissioner Gordon's getting a series and Penguin's getting a series.
I mean, but by more contained, I mean it's all in the Batman universe as opposed to the DC universe, like versus the Marvel universe. And I agree, this is the way they should probably have gone, because a lot of the big DC heroes, people love those heroes. But besides like the animated series, I've never heard anyone really give a shit about like the Justice League. Right. So it's like you don't need like the Avengers had such a bigger following prior and shit like that than the Justice League did.
I don't know. I don't want to disagree. I just don't like. I guess when I was reading the comics, Justice League was always bigger than the Avengers before the movies came out.
Well, I mean, I never read the comics, so I'm just kind of remembering it like from my friends that do. I remember hearing people talk more about like the Avengers on like the comic book level than Justice League. But I do remember, and it was kind of the thing that everyone said for a while, is like DC has been great at their animated shows, like for ages. Mm-hmm. So like there was the animated Justice League show that people fucking loved. And there was like animated like the original Batman, the animated series, the Batman Beyond, like they kind of have been good at that part of it for a long time, and it was their movies that were trash. Like, but
I don't know. I mean, all in all, it was a great movie. Jake, the score is fire. It's so good.
Does the Wonder Woman theme song start playing randomly at any point every time someone comes on screen?
every time the music would start, I would just get like PTSD. I'd be like, oh no, what are they? Oh god. And then it would just be like normal and cool and no weird noises coming from out of nowhere.
Makes sense though. The Joker's score was really good.
The Joker score was really good. But yeah, the score throughout, I mean, it's a 3-hour movie. So to have
have a good score. Yeah.
To have a score that didn't bother me. I mean, it was one of those things where like it's a superhero movie. So they kind of like use the main,
the leitmotif. They use the main theme and they repurpose it across.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that happened. That's regular.
But I loved it. It was like, you just felt like it felt like a Batman.
I know who the cameo is, and I'm confused why it's a big deal. Just saying.
I think Eric was just trying to not put spoilers up.
Yeah, I didn't want to spoil it.
It wasn't less about like super fucking. I'm already aware, but it's less about like fucking huge deal, guys. Oh no, more versus like keep it as spoiler free as possible.
I will say.
I'll say I think it's a good idea because I actually just read the scene and how it happens. But that's pretty cool.
To be perfectly honest, it was probably the worst scene in the movie, and really? I've heard several people say that because it was just so out of left field. It was okay. It wasn't.
I thought it had something to do with it.
It wasn't even like an after credit scene, which is why it was like 10 minutes before the movie ended, and like, I don't want to spoil it, but it was like 10 minutes before the movie ended. You're kind of like, it's,
is it basically the scenario should have been a post-credit scene?
Yes.
Gotcha.
But there's also an article that says it's like an interview with the director, and the article says that fan-pleasing cameo character may not return.
Well, that's
so, like, it could be bullshit.
That's the vibe that I was getting. I was like, the only way that this makes sense that it wasn't, because if you do it in the after credits, you're making it seem like this person it's like, oh shit, he's going to be in the next one or whatever. But because he was kind of like a throwaway in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. If he's not in the next then you don't actually have the expectation's not as there.
Well, one, you don't have the expectation, but also, how many times can you do the character before? I mean, you can do the character a million times, but
it's been a lot recently.
Right. So I think if they play it right, where it's kind of like a Green Goblin from the original Spider-Man, where he's there, but you don't actually get him until, I mean, we got him in the third Spider-Man, but we probably weren't supposed to get him until the fourth one. Not Green Goblin. I'm sorry.
Hobgoblin.
The son.
Yeah.
Right.
I know what you're talking about. Once you said he wasn't there, I was like, oh, he means Hobgoblin.
Yeah. So
yeah.
That's, I mean, if they drag it out, it might be really cool. Cause I mean,
that's why I think is like, it might be like the finale, which would be like a decade from now,
which would be sick. I'd be happy. Like if they throw him in the second one and he's got like a one-liner, because you don't even really see his face in this one. Maybe you see his face in the fucking third one. Like that would be kind of cool.
Well,
it's like a slow burn.
I agree with you. The article that I read, it said that like in this movie, people aren't yet the people that they're supposed to be. So like the example it says here is like Selena Kyle isn't Catwoman yet. And when you're seeing this person, when you see them, they're not that person yet.
Well, yeah, Batman's not Batman either.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So if I didn't see the movie, so I'm just going by what the article is.
It's fine. Because they keep in the movie they keep referring to him as Vengeance and not Batman. He never says I'm Batman. He says I'm Vengeance, and everyone calls him Vengeance for the rest of the movie. Which is kind of cool. I agree with you.
I kind of think it's a cool idea for them to like have this scene in there,
right,
and go about their business and then come back to it later.
And it's not a nobody actor, which makes me believe that he will eventually. But I don't think he's the villain in the next one because it was such a throwaway and. There's so many others.
Because they're doing this big Penguin thing. It would not be surprising me if they did that Penguin series and the Commissioner Gordon series to flesh out the universe and establish the Penguin as like the big villain of movie 2. Because it would make you'd be able to do a whole lot of fucking backstory and build up and make it climactic and like make a movie that's centered around just the conflict in that way. Like, with all this shit that's already known, and without Jake, having to spend time being
this quote, dude, what fucking show would be bigger than a Joker show? Like, I mean,
but the thing is, they already made that movie.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying.
Jess, what were you going to say?
Sorry, go ahead, Jess.
Oh, just that Matt Reeves in that quote where he said that Selena Kyle is in Catwoman. He did say Penguin isn't the Kingpin yet. So like they make that whole thing.
Exactly. And like I think that's the point, like that'd be what I'm suspecting is going to happen. Yeah. If the television show is his fucking rise to the top of like that, because he's a mafioso and like kind of thing. It's his rise up.
Because the top dog pretty much is
it Falcone?
Yeah, he's pretty much done. He's pretty much done after this movie. So
yeah, that's almost always that character's role in like any Batman thing is like he's historically relevant. Right. It is pretty much always the origin story for the Penguin. Right.
Did you without spoiling it, because I feel like you probably didn't see this part anywhere. Does Falcone have a child in the comics? Is that like a thing? Because they made it a thing, and I was just like, this is so.
I would bet that in some universe, yes.
That's what I'm saying. Like
I'm not fully aware of that, but I also, like I said, I'm no giant comic person. Like I know them, but not like, I don't have like I have friends that are like super fucking into them, and that's where I get more of my knowledge than like my own personal readings of them. Is friends of mine and just happenstantially picking up wild details from just talking to them about it.
Yeah.
So if I don't personally know about that shit. But
if Jake is right about the Penguin series, I'm gonna really like it.
No, he's for sure. He's definitely right. It's because it makes perfect sense. I don't know how he would be the main, because he was kind of the comedic factor in the first one. I don't know how they would make, like, that's how he's
in
probably,
the movie you just watched.
Yeah, he wasn't fucking hilarious, but when he was in it, he was the funny part of it, the Penguin.
Well, here's the thing that I'll say is that in like the original, like, super well received Batman movie, fucking what's his fucking name?
From Sunny, from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I wasn't going to talk about. Well, I mean, he's the one who plays the Penguin in that. I was trying to remember the guy who played Batman in that one.
Oh, Michael Keaton.
Yeah, that. Yeah, the fucking OG. This is Batman person, and like that was Tim Burton, right? Tim Burton's Batman.
The first two, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the Penguin was one of the fucking big bads. It doesn't mean he has to be the exclusive big bad, because
that's true. Yeah, but this was what I guess what I mean is, like, in that one it was different because he was like an actual character, like he was the animated version of it in a way. And this one, it's very realistic. He's just a guy. He's just a chubby guy who can barely walk, and he's like scared shitless of the Batman. Like, he doesn't come off as like a badass, or in the maybe you're right. Maybe
but
in the
he's
show,
not supposed to. Like,
yeah.
Also, I think, yeah, we're gonna establish, and the things that he, like, similarly, like the Riddler is not necessarily like a villain of Batman's that he goes like toe to toe with Batman in combat and shit like that. It's like it's mostly Batman using his mind to figure out and do all that shit. And the Penguin presents not like that same on an intellectual front, but like the similar
street smart.
Yeah, you gotta. There's a trail you gotta follow. You gotta do all this extra shit. 'Cause it's not the big thing is not, oh, can Batman beat the shit out of the Penguin? It's like, yes, but he can do that to 90% of his villains. The Joker is the one that is like puts up the fucking fight, but most of his villains are more about like figuring it out to get there. And so all they have to do is write the good plot of like the Penguin as a mafioso, and Batman has to like go through all this other extra shit to actually get to him at the end of the day. Yeah,
I could see that. Yeah. The Riddler's easy because it's like, okay, he can hide out until Batman finds him. The Penguin, I feel like he was always out in the open in this one. Like, he wasn't. I mean, they did do sorry, we keep talking about it, but whatever. They did do
I brought us on this tangent, so it's fine.
Okay. They did do a scene where it was like he goes crazy trying to get to the Penguin because he thinks that the Penguin did something that they're trying to figure out. Once they do this 20-minute long scene to get the Penguin after this long car chase scene, the Penguin delivers a line. He's like, "You guys read this riddle all wrong. It's La. It's not L. You guys don't speak Spanish. You guys don't know Spanish." It was like one of those things where like you just watch him. They pretty much ruin like 10 blocks on Gotham, and he finally gets to the Penguin. He's like, "Dude, it's not even me."
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry.
Well, yeah. At the end of the day, because like I remember all the build up to this one was it's not like it's more of a Batman as a detective and all that kind of shit, but like still it would keep the trend of like a more mental antagonist than like a physical one, which I think is not a bad thing. Like it's still a different type of shit. It's a different type of like mental gymnastics and shit you have to go through than the Riddler puts you through. A little bit more like traditional crime and street oriented, but it is like that whole shit of how difficult in reality it is to take down mob bosses, because there's a lot of fucking secrecy, a lot of loyalty. You have to get all the big names that have ever gone down for shit like money laundering and tax evasion. Like,
yeah.
So while Batman doesn't have to do like a legal case, it's still like you can put up like the how do you get to him, how do you do it kind of story.
And I do think the fact that they have Catwoman in as the love interest, it'll be a big, it'll be a sick finale when they have whatever villain probably, kill her off and just have Batman go absolutely apeshit.
Well, in the story that they are like the big story where they're like lovers and shit, she doesn't end up dying. So
I can still see them like putting their own spin on it because they're, I guess there could also be just a different love interest in the second one, but the way that they did this one is not really like she's a love interest. I don't know.
It's building. It's world building.
Exactly. Yeah. I hope it's not like the original Batman's where it's like a different love interest every movie. I hope like they continue on this route, but also at the same time, I would like them to avoid having the same characters in every movie. So I don't know if I want her in the next one. I mean, I personally would love her in the next one, but I don't know if it's what you want to do if, whatever. Anyway, my bad. We went on a whole tangent here.